Hello everybody and welcome to the GBA D-League Draft video. We will be going down everybody's picks, what we liked, what we didn't like, and, hopefully some funniness will ensue also. So, the panel of esteemed guests can introduce themselves. I'm Gubstacular. And
I'm Super Blah.
There you go.
Matt.
John or Pokemon.
Chris.
That was a fantastic intro, guys. Good job.
Yeah.
We all did it together.
Hesitation is not...
We didn't know the order. We just felt it out. So.
Well, just say it.
We just assume that Nick will cut over anyone else who tries to go first. So
that's a good point.
Well, I mean,
Hey,
I always
number one team, number one intro.
Second. I mean,
Johnny
I go
Pope
second
will
because
win.
nobody else ever wants to go second because they all hesitate. Who's going to go? I claim it. I say I'm second. And then there you go.
Number one in the GBA, number one in your hearts, except not really.
There you go. I like that. I'm going to make a shirt that says that.
Yeah,
no one will buy it.
I bet you'd be wrong.
All right.
Make it a hoodie.
Let's do
Make it a
shirts.
hoodie, Nick.
We've got a lot to get through, so enough fucking around, at least in that sense. So we're going to go team by team, and we're going to start with just going draft order from the first round anyway, so just first to last. So we're going to talk about the, what's his team? The Mighty Ducklets?
Anaheim Mighty
Yeah, the Anaheim Mighty Ducklets. I was going to say Miami Heat more, but it's not that.
No.
Otherwise known as T and ATV1. So
Adam. Yep. He's the guy who won the single elimination. He got first pick in this. He also won the Mega Lottery, which the Mega order is random, so he got first overall Mega pick as well. Setting
Should
him
buy a
up,
lottery ticket.
yeah, setting him up pretty well going into this.
mm-hmm.
I think.
It's a lot of ammunition.
I mean, he definitely did earn the first spot. He's undefeated as of now. Doesn't mean much. Season started, but coming in there, no one knew who he was. Beat everyone he went against. I'm impressed. That's for sure. And his draft, well, it was pretty solid. I like the Heatran. Well, he picked Heatran first overall, and I think the goal with that, it's a weird first overall pick until you think about how he is the first overall Mega pick, and he really wanted Mega Venusaur, and that's a pretty scary core.
Yeah, the core did a lot for him in the tournament, and it is a great core. You know, it's similar to what Gubbs has going on with the Celotrain core in his GBA season. My only problem is, we've talked about it before, like in and out of calls and things like that, and it's like the concept of using your 3 years to really set up your core, and I don't like people realizing they have a high Mega Draft and using that as their core because it's not going to be there next year. Like
That's a good point.
Next year, he's still
But
going
I
to have
think-
Heatran, and he's not going to have a grass to complement it.
One
without
thing to
scrounging
remember,
for it.
Chris, though, is next season there's going to be all of the Oris Megas, so the Mega Pool is going to be huge, and depending on how many people get added to the D-League, if it happens again next season, let's just say it is, I mean, there's only going to be so many chosen, and unless he gets the last pick and someone really wants Mega Venusaur, he might be able to grab it again, so maybe it's not a bad option, but if anything, hopefully it'll do work for him this season, because he's going all in with that core.
Yeah.
Disregarding
Well, I
core,
think
though. Go on, Nick.
twice, one more, and you guys are out. I think he made up for it. He picked Latias, which pairs really well with Heatran, at least typing wise. They cover each other pretty well. And he did stuff, he added Togekiss as well, and I think he has other options to make a solid core around it.
Togekiss
Not
really
necessarily
does
involves Mega
go with it,
Venusaur.
too.
Yeah, Togekiss is a good complement to Heatran. Vaporeon, obviously, good. Probably the best bulky water, I think.
Best value pick in the entire game draft.
Well,
yeah.
the very last pick of the regular draft, Vaporeon, like the fat kid at Dodgeball, who would have thought? But
I have one issue with that pick, the Vaporeon pick, is that's something
boy.
I personally would want to lock up for longer than just one season.
yeah,
I'd have probably tried, but I mean, looking at his 2-year deals and his 3-year deals, I really don't think there's anywhere for Vaporeon to go. So
No.
I guess it really is just a matter of this draft being so saturated with talent and good Pokemon that just good stuff's going to end up on 1-year deals. It's just the way it's going to have to be.
Yeah.
But
The 3 things he's locking up for 3 years, though, or at least 2 other seasons after this, are pretty solid pokes. That's a pretty good 3.
I'd be all right with dropping Latias down a season, but you know.
I don't know. I think
It's just a thing,
Latias
give or
is
take.
extremely versatile, though. It
Yeah.
can do a lot of different
And it's a
things.
very, very reliable defogger, which can
Yeah,
be pretty
that's-
helpful.
He's not exactly short on defoggers.
True, very
But,
true.
I mean, Latias can also offer Healing Wish, which in a clutch situation might really help him out
Yeah,
too.
we've seen that getting good use in the GBA actually.
But Latias also has the distinction of not only being immune to spikes, both
It can
once,
set up
and
sweeps
it's
too.
yeah, and it's not weak to rocks as a defogger, which is definitely valuable. It's,
Yeah.
I think only Skarmory and Latias are really the only usable ones that hold that distinction, other than maybe Empoleon, I guess. But Empoleon
Solid
takes
Calm
spikes.
Mind there, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things you got to worry about when you're preparing for it. Because, I mean, Calm Mind Latias, if you're not ready for it, that could definitely late game destroy some things, or even mid game set up and take a few things down with it.
And because of its natural bulk, it is able to go offensive too, or you know, more tanky, or you can just run a solid defensive support set. You know, it's
It's
versatility.
faster than most things. There's like, it's just
Base
legendary.
110.
Yeah, there's a lot of things it can do.
What surprised me most is, well, so I agree, Heatran, while first overall is a bit odd, Heatran does have a lot of versatility to it, which is what you're looking for in this league. But the fact that Terrakion made it all the way through the second round with how proven it's been in the regular GBA, that really surprised me.
Yeah, down to 16th pick.
I think it's a matter of if you think about Terrakion, it's not exactly the most versatile Pokemon in the world. You pretty much have three sets. You have like a Double Dance set, Choice Scarf, and Choice Band. And like I guess you could run just Rock Polish or just Swords Dance, but
I
Or
mean,
sub,
if you
if
think
we
about
could.
it like this,
there's not
the
that
Juggernaut
much.
isn't exactly a versatile supervillain, but he just puts his helmet on and runs through things, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what Terrakion
Yeah,
does.
well, I
He
mean,
doesn't
there's
really need to
certain
be versatile.
things.
That's the
Yeah,
thing,
there's certain
right?
things in the draft.
Terrakion is there just to put pressure on the other team of what are you going to keep alive to handle this thing, and how do you not mess up and leave yourself vulnerable for this thing to run through your team late game.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, we
problem-
tend to talk a lot about versatility, but the other like main thing you look for is specialist. Like you look at someone who doesn't do a lot of things, but they're the best at that one thing they do. And Terrakion is probably the best at just being a thing that kills shit.
I mean,
Yeah,
I would,
that's
you
what I was
don't
gonna
mess
say.
around with threats.
I would argue against that for this season of the D-League, only because if you just look at the drafts, everyone has an answer for Terrakion. Like, everybody. And it's a very good answer,
Yeah.
too.
Well, Terrakion, I mean, I'm going to, from me using it last season, what I think with Terrakion, it doesn't matter if you have an answer for it. It's going to be scary no matter what. They're going to have to prepare for it. But if you bring it, you're going to be able to bring it in, force switches, and if you bring sub and you force a switch, you can do that. Or if you're just banded, you can get a big hit on anything. Even if they have an answer, it's going to be a big hit. And if you're scarfed, you can clean up late game. It doesn't matter if you can't just destroy everyone's team one by one by one by one. I was only able to do that one time against Nexus's team. But it usually got to kill every game because you could just bring it in or just keep it, save it in the back. And once they lose that one thing or those two things or even three things,
Or
once
you can get the
you
damage
bring that,
on it.
yeah, once you get that team down, it's really hard to really stop it. It's
The
like
other-
like the Mega Pincer, you know?
The other thing with Terrakion is it might not necessarily be used for killing, but just for punching holes, you know? And let someone else like Mamoswine or Thunderous T or even Crobat come through and can then pick up the sweep.
Yep.
So not only is it a threat in the sense that it's going to sweep, it can just punch holes through a team if you're not prepared. Or if you slip up.
All right, I think if we keep going Pokemon by Pokemon, we'll be here until Christmas.
Yeah, let's go on to
I do
the
want to
next...
mention I really like
Well-
the Magnezone Regirock picks just because I like
I
Regirock
think-
as a utility thing, like not as a utility, but just it's a good check to a lot of things. We saw Joe
Right.
use it well. Like it shuts down Talonflame. It can take physical hits from Kyurem. It's not gonna take special hits, but it can take physical ones. And I think Magnezone's a great pick too that we didn't really get to see used a lot. We didn't see it at all in the first season, but like almost every team is gonna draft a steel. That's so high on people's priorities. Oh, you need a good steel type. So to be able to get a redundant steel type that traps on a team with the only steel type that really can't be trapped by the HP fire is really good, I think.
I agree. And to round out his team, he has Crobat, which is, his secondary defogger. It can be a scout. It can just, be a physical attacker, a special attacker if he wanted.
Very.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it, but
very
in
versatile.
one of his
Trader too, it doesn't need to worry about sub.
I mean, he already won a battle with Scarfed Crobat, which I just thought was pretty good. I mean, he's already using different sets with all these things, and Crobat, you wouldn't really think it'd have all these sets, but it has a lot of different things you can do with it. And if it's that fast and you Scarf it, as weird as some people might think, you're not outspeeding that with maybe like anything except, I don't know, Deoxys speed or like how fast is compared to some stuff.
No, Deoxys speed's not
fast. It's not,
enough.
There's nothing that can outspeed that, and that is pretty crazy, especially with U-turn.
Yeah, and he just, he finishes up with another powerhouse in Thunderous T and a good Dragon Check and also powerhouse in Mamoswine. So he definitely has a very threatening team, both offensively and potentially defensively as well.
Yeah, I agree. Are we going to give like each team like a ranking or just how good, like a grade? Like, are we just going to say, that's good?
I don't have a problem with anything on this team. Like I said, I can see Gub's point as far as maybe some of the contract distribution with like Vaporeon. Maybe you want it for longer, but again, like he said, this is such a saturated draft. It really has to be something that stands out to argue against a contract length. So I mean, I think he drafted everything he wanted. And I think he drafted a really great team. So.
I agree completely.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next team. We really got to get going here. We've spent like 10 minutes on this team already, and we have 7 more to get through. So we kind of need to make these a bit more brief.
Longer.
I know, but it's like I'm sure we can.
Dubs doesn't
do
want to talk
grades.
to us any longer.
We can do grades after the entire video. I would say that's probably best.
All right.
After we've seen. Talked about every team. So next is John Origins, who picked second in the draft. I'd say it's an interesting team. Not probably a lot of things that wouldn't be my first choice, but if that's what he wanted, I guess. I don't know, it's definitely quirky to say the least.
Honestly,
how drafts are, the order, the way the draft or he drafted things too, kind of just seems out of place. But that's not to say that what he drafted is bad.
Right.
Things like Azumarill, second overall, it seems kind of odd, but then you look at, what Azumarill can possibly do, or Jirachi. We saw Nick in the regular league grab Jirachi at the very end of, his last pick and then trade it away pretty quick. But with the Oris coming out, you never know what Jirachi's going to get tutor-wise on new mechanic-wise.
Tutors are banned for this season, and that's a bit of a gamble. That's a bit of a gamble. Yeah. You're banking on Jirachi either getting good tutors, or he might just like Jirachi how it is now.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case.
Yeah,
Roman Tease was an interesting pick, I think, though.
Yeah,
I think it's a terrible pick.
It's interesting. Yeah, he's 3 RU. He is the only person that really
he came in saying he was going to prove to everybody that RU things are great. So, I mean, I don't really agree with a lot of the things he did in the draft, but what I, my overall thought, because I don't think there's really a reason to trash on someone's team, and that's what I'd do if I went in depth with some things. I think he had a plan. I think he knew what he wanted, and he just went down a list of want this, want this, want this, want this, and I think he's going to be able to use it great. But some of the placements might be a little odd, but if you wanted them that bad, fine. Like Jirachi second, if you want it that bad, okay, you don't want anyone to grab it.
I think you can argue that his first 4 picks might have been out of place. They could have all maybe been bumped down one.
Yeah,
and
but
he could have
then
gotten, something.
He doesn't really have anything else that it seems like he wanted. Because, I mean, again, we're talking about the guy that had the second pick in the draft. I mean...
He wanted a Azumarill, that's
and
for
the
sure.
And the first thing was Heatran. Like, he could have gotten any other Pokemon except Heatran. And he went
I feel like if Terrakion made it all the way through the second round, he could have had a Azumarill in the second round.
No, I think Azumarill would have been gone by the end of the first round.
Really?
Maybe.
Yes.
I mean,
I think it would have been.
It's hard to predict this draft because a lot of the things people drafted are just seem strange.
I mean, if you want it that bad, don't risk it. I don't think Azumarill's a first round thing, but if he does, then
I think Azumarill is potentially worthy of it. It's just the problem with Azumarill is it's got like 3 sets. It's got Band, Assault Vest, and Belly Drum.
But again, it's similar to Terrakion, and it's just a thing that does its thing good. It just kills stuff, and it's a threat
but
you
it's
have to
so
plan
much
for.
slower than
So,
Terrakion.
yeah, it's so much
But it's
slower,
got
and it's
stat
not
priority.
It's
got
That's
stat
true.
priority that's easily resisted,
Yeah.
though. Water isn't... It's good cover.
mean,
I'm not saying it's a bad pick.
Azumarill's
I'm just trying
even
to play
in like
devil's
OU,
advocate.
Yeah.
Azumarill's a top tier. Is
Yeah,
like top of
I
OU,
think
right?
Azumarill's A+ in viability.
And-
But this isn't
and,
OU.
If you look at his team, though, like overall, he has, you can't sleep on Talonflame.
He's
You
got
can't
a lot
sleep on
he's got
like
Volturn
Raikou.
going on there.
He's got a lot of initiative. He's got power, and then he has these 3 really bulky things all on 1-year contracts that can set up those big hitters just by forcing defensive pressure as well.
Really,
Yeah.
4 when you look at it. You got Pharaoh, Cresselia, Coffagrigus, and Aromatisse.
Yeah, he
Yeah, I
definitely
didn't
went
really
Volturn and
count
Volt.
that because I just count it as like it's an Aromatisse, and it literally has no value until it proves otherwise.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it has no value in the GBA. I don't
Like,
like
until
Gardevoir
it
was still there.
shows,
Like,
until
why?
it shows that it is worth being drafted. To me, it's a waste pick, and
Yep.
But that's the kind of pick you pick on your 1-year contract.
right. But I
yeah.
mean, if you look at things that were left, Blissey was never drafted. Gardevoir wasn't drafted at that point.
Chansey.
Vaporeon wasn't drafted. Chansey. A lot of things, a lot of really good things were not drafted. So Aromatisse is going to have, a lot to prove. And I think also with his Mega Pick, he's going to have to do a lot of work with that Mega Pick in order
Don't
to
understand
justify
that.
it.
Don't understand that mega
I
pick.
no.
He had the
we-
5th pick
ugh.
in the Mega Draft.
There was a call, and I remember joining and saying, who and why did anyone pick Mega Houndoom? Stayed in the call. The next 3 people that came in said the same thing. I don't think anyone but him understands why Mega Houndoom was even picked, let alone why did he pick it
I
fifth.
think that's kind of the theme of his team is he picked things that are individually very good, obviously, at what they do, but nobody really quite gets what his angle is as
Nope.
far as team synergy goes. Which
I see
he's
both
proven.
terms.
He's proven he's a really good battler, so obviously he has to have some kind of plan. It's just
He
no
came
one
Yeah,
in
like
knows
second.
what
Houndoom
it
is a threat. It's a powerhouse, but it doesn't cover any weaknesses just because it can't take hits. And it's not. I don't know. Like
I mean,
if that wasn't
he
his
told
reason.
he told me like he passed up Mega Manectric because he already has a Raikou. It's like I don't care. Mega Manetric's better.
No,
Take it.
I definitely agree with that thought process. I think that's just too
I mean,
redundant
I would
in what
rather
they do.
actually. I would probably take Houndoom just because it's a different typing, and it's still powerful.
I
But
understand the pick. The Hound. He had a severe lack of power, especially in the back end of his draft. All 4 of
Yeah,
his
but I
1-year
don't know.
deals were.
he could have
They
taken
are
Azard.
hitters.
Could have taken
Yeah.
Mega.
It's interesting
I
to note
think
that
Mega
no
Houndoom-
Charizard went.
Mega Houndoom is decent. I think he can make it work.
I'm sure he can.
I don't like that.
I think
it's-
looking at his
I
team,
think he
he
can
already
make
had
everything.
Talonflame.
I think he
It
can make
just-
this work, but I don't understand almost any of it. I think he
I-
can do it, but
I just think Mega Houndoom as an attacker functions too similarly to Hydreigon. I think
Yeah.
Hydreigon can still fire off really powerful fire attacks. I think that's kind of. I think he might have been better off going with something like Mega Heracross. I think that probably would have been a good fit.
Or
for his
even if
team.
you wanted a fire type, Zard
Mega
X
Medicham.
was a
Does he doesn't have a lack of speed. I
he
think
doesn't have a fighting type, does he?
Nope.
that's what I'm saying. I think Mega Heracross would have been a perfect pick.
Or no, yeah, I
Or
was just saying
Medicham.
Medicham.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Heracross is better because it's bulkier
Yeah.
and he doesn't
I
need
just
the
meant
speed.
either or. Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah, he
I
doesn't
think
need the speed.
one of the biggest differences between the D-League and the GBA is that a lot of these teams are very... they have a lot of options for strong fighting types. Strong fighting types are really good in the GBA, but in the D-League, every team has like a number of resists that can just handle fighting types.
For this season, at least, just because it is only the 8 teams and they have full access to everything that you can do Pokebank for, it's obviously significantly different. So.
Yeah, the pool is definitely a lot less diluted because Bank is already out and everybody knows they can get what they need.
I'm interested to
let's,
see what he does with that Houndoom, though.
Yeah, I think
moving
we
let's
should
on.
hop
move on.
over to Stepfile MC's team, who had, I believe, a very solid draft.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the
just-
best draft.
I think it's just
I
the
don't
most
know about that.
consistent, like,
I
this
think
is
it's a
good
consistent
poke,
draft.
this is a good poke, this is a good poke, this
Yeah.
is a good poke.
Right. There are a
Nothing-
couple things I don't
nothing
necessarily agree
really
with.
steps on anything else's toes. Like,
My only issue
Right.
with his team is
and
I don't like his defensive core that he has going on. I don't. I mean, he has
Really?
Gliscor, he has Arcanine. I guess you could count Tyranitar and maybe Manaphy. I don't know. It's something. It doesn't sit right
honestly,
with me.
I think
I-
he's just better suited as just pure hyper offense.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
mean,
he's
like,
that's
Gliscor.
what he's aiming for. You can tell
Yeah.
just from looking
And George is a player. He knows what he wants to do. He knew from the first pick what he wants to do. He knows his play style, and I think he stayed with that. Like he picked Zoroark with his last pick, and he knows he knows how to use it. He knows what he wants to use it for, and I think he's very comfortable with his play style. So.
I know he's one of those people that really relies on his predictions. So he's not someone who's gonna like, oh, I'm just gonna switch into my really bulky thing, take the hit, and go from there. He's gonna be like, I'm gonna predict this move or that switch and go into this and keep the momentum on his side. And with the team he has, definitely see that.
Yeah.
And he has
as-
a sick amount of priority on his team too. He has Aegislash, Breloom, Arcanine,
Arcanine,
Crawdaunt, Lucario, Zoroark.
Zoroark
It's
is
just-
a really interesting pick. I'm
Zoroark
excited to
has
see.
priority.
Yeah,
Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's
I don't like
mean-
Zoroark because I feel like he should have gotten his fairy type in a regular contract for a longer amount of time. Because even though, like,
right.
no, because even though we've said like that this pool is so saturated, fairy types are the lowest like volume type, and
I think
good
fairies are
fairy types-
overvalued. in the
Well, he
GBA.
did
I
get
think-
a fairy type.
I
He
think
took
one
Mega
thing that
Gardevoir
kind of
with his Mega.
Yeah,
one
but that's
thing
what I'm saying. That's a 1 year. Like
Right,
I think even though it's a 1 year, he could have served getting a regular Gardevoir instead of Zoroark, and then getting a better Mega. Because Mega Gardevoir, though it's really powerful, it's kind of limited, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a disappointment for him.
Well, one thing that really was different with this draft is they knew their Mega order, and I remember talking to him. He had his heart set on Mega Gardevoir after the tournament, so knowing that he got it third, that he would almost definitely get it, kind of, I think that changed some of the people's drafts. Like, Adam's first draft, he got Mega Venusaur because he knew he could get Heatran, then Mega Venusaur first, without a doubt. So I think that kind of messed with people's mentalities of I already know the Mega I'm getting.
And I think that's a mistake because, like I said, we were looking at it when it was the round he picked Gliscor, and this was coming back down towards Adam. So Adam didn't have Togekiss yet. At that point, George could have gotten Togekiss or regular Gardevoir, and a lot of people were very sure he was going to get one of them and lock it into that 2-year contract. And I don't know why he didn't.
I don't know why his
besides
team
wanting
needs a
Mega
fairy
Gardevoir.
type. Like I think his team's just fine without one. I think fairy typing is overvalued in the GBA. It's really
I
just
think a good defensive fairy type is.
it's not a great offensive type. It's not really a fantastic defensive type. It doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, but it doesn't necessarily have a lot of resistances either.
No, but it forces them to bring a weird coverage move that's limited. Because Steel
weird-
and Poison.
Steel isn't
Poison
weird,
only
though.
They only hit Fairy.
Steel isn't weird though, and you don't need to hit them with super effective attacks to take fairies
you do
down.
if it's something like a Togekiss.
Togekiss?
Clefable
Togekiss,
and
you know.
Togekiss. Togekiss you can get away with rock. Clefable is a big one where you need, depending on the set it's running, some kind of weird coverage move. But
And like Sylveon is another thing where
Yeah.
you're probably going to end up hacking Poison Jab or Sludge Wave on something just for it because it's such a threat.
But
I
I
guess.
do like because the sand evasion ability. I'm blanking on it. Sandstream
Sandvale.
or Sandvale. Because that's not banned anymore. I'm curious if you'd ever run more offensive Gliscor in combination with Tyranitar and try to abuse that a little bit.
It's possible.
Yeah,
And I think that's what's lost. He has the makings of a very good sand team. Also, he has
Yeah, but
Tyranitar,
he
Gliscor,
has said he
Breloom.
doesn't have
Aegislash.
designs on running a weather team.
Well, he says that, but that might
Yeah.
come to fruition later on if
Yeah.
he sees the matchup.
matchups.
That's true.
Yeah,
I think it's important to note
yeah.
that his only hazard removal is defog Gliscor.
No, he has
And
Latios
Latios.
also.
Latios, yeah.
Yeah. And he can taunt with a few things. Gliscor's very quick, especially against the slower setup, so he could run taunt on Gliscor.
Or Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Gardevoir, but Gardevoir's kind of slow off the bat. You got to
Well,
Mega
Zoroark-
first.
If you can
Zoroark can
trace
taunt, right?
Prankster,
So-
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He could bluff the
Zoroark-
Zoroark and get a taunt.
yeah.
So,
I really like what he did with his last few picks. He got the things he really wanted. He got a Firewater Grass Core. He has things that can take hits. Then he's just power, and mind games. I don't know. I really like those last three.
yeah.
It's not the team I'd pick. It doesn't suit my play style, but I can understand from an offensive standpoint. That's a very solid team.
Yeah, it's scary.
Move
So I
on
think we
to
should probably,
Sam.
yeah, Sam, yeah, the what's it, Newcastle United?
Yeah.
Yes.
His first 3 picks are just
Oh my God, so good.
It pretty much
bulk is
epitomizes OU right now, like the landscape.
Kieran Beck, Sylveon, and Skarmory.
It's
Yeah.
just, it's
Got the-
arguably the best defensive core you could pick in this format.
Because he right off
Yeah.
the bat, he went for Dragon, Steel, Fairy Core.
Yeah.
And not only that, but, you know, obviously it's a mostly defensive core, but all 3 of those things can hit like a truck when you need them to.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing that I know he talked about. Like, it's not, he didn't just draft Walls, he didn't just go for Blissey or Chansey or something like that. It was like he got stuff that shuts people down, and then without having to pull a crafty double switch, can turn them around into offensive momentum.
He also got a Grass Fire Core with Roserade and Rotom H, too, which is good because now outside of Donphan who can spin, Roserade can get rid of Toxic
yeah,
Spikes if someone puts those up.
And-
But you also
and
have
he's even got
Technician.
Sharpedo in there for the water, so it's a
Yep.
full Grass Fire Water core on that.
That's
Yeah,
a
the
very
Sharpedo-
poor man's fire water grass core.
It is, but it's
I
still
think
there for
Sharpedo
coverage.
is in the grouping of my least favorite picks of the entire draft.
Wow.
I think
Sharpedo
he was
doesn't
thinking. He was
Go
thinking,
ahead.
all right, I want a water type. I want to, something that can, hit a little bit harder.
And I want
Sharpedo, probably not that pick. I
It's
think
got versatility,
he could have.
though.
It's got
Not
versatility
really.
in the ways that
I-
many different things can kill it in one shot. Like that's
Looking at his team,
versatility.
though, the way I would defend that pick, and obviously no one has to agree with it, is, I mean, he's got a really bulky team. If you look at his first 4 picks, Kieran B, Sylveon, Skarmory, Deoxys D, you're going to have a hard time breaking that down. And breaking that down, you're going to get worn down, too. He can put tons of hazards out. And having something with speed boost like Sharpedo that can have coverage moves and also just take things down once they're weakened is pretty solid. And having the Destiny Bond is also something where you can just get rid of something right away, too.
The other
don't think
thing
it
is-
Yanmega, I think Yanmega would have been a better fit for the
He
team.
doesn't have a lot of
I
priority
don't-
on
I don't
his
know.
team either, so
I think Yanmega's
Sharpedo
a
fills
lot-
that
I would
role.
rather have.
Yanmega's
I
a
would rather
lot
have
less
Sharpedo.
susceptible to priority. A lot less susceptible. It
Yeah,
has a much
but-
higher
No, but
defense
Sharpedo
stat.
can also have Aqua Jet.
And
Yeah,
Yanmega
okay,
also
that's
takes
fine.
50% from rocks.
And Yanmega's also more versatile, though. He has no
Right.
ix with rocks
I
on this
don't-
team.
But yeah, I don't
It's
know.
gonna
I
be
think
using light for
Sharpedo.
Most likely.
I
And
think
if it
like,
was-
I
yeah.
think Sharpedo does work in the sense that late game it can come in, use protect once, and probably clean up. But I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those things that if he plays as carefully as he needs to keep it around, it could work. But I wouldn't bank on it.
I think on another team it's a questionable pick, but I think on this team having, 3 out of 11 Pokemon be relatively frail is perfectly fine. Like, I don't have a problem with the fact that you can one-shot Zam, Sharpedo, or Mega Pinsir because they're fucking Alakazam, Sharpedo, and Mega Pinsir backed by a ridiculous amount of bulk.
And we haven't seen how Sharpedo functions in this format. Season 1 of the GBA, Tom, the Sharpedos, drafted Sharpedo, but he could never really get it to work, and then he gave up pretty quick in the season
Well,
of trying to
also-
get it to work. So this is kind of a new
Sam-
breath for this pick.
Yeah, I think it'll be better off with Sam. Sam's a completely different player, and I think he has, a fair amount more experience than Tom did when Tom had Sharpedo.
Yeah.
So I think if anyone that will make Sharpedo shine, it'll be Sam.
One thing
I think
see
Mega
with this
Pinsir
team-
is just going to be used
Yeah.
every week.
Well, one thing
Yeah,
like
Mega Pinsir is just great.
It's much better as a cleaner than Sharpedo is.
Like
It
looking
just
at his
is.
team, like I said with the Sharpedo, like he can wait late game and then like sweep with it. He almost has 4 things to do that, and then bulky stuff. Mega Pinsir, you did that all season with the same strategy, which worked wonders for you, Gubs. And he has Sharpedo to do it at a lesser scale, but I mean, if you need water and dark rather than flying and like whatever else, I mean, you don't really need much more than return and quick attack with Pinsir. You got that, and then there's also Alakazam. You sash that can save your ass, and Infernape's pretty fast and can do stuff. So it's kind of interesting to see what he's going to do. He can just kind of pick between, or at least the 3 of them, maybe not Infernape, but between Alakazam, Sharpedo, and Mega Pinsir every week, what's going to work best or which 2 will help me win, and then the defensive core. And I don't know.
And let's not forget just the killing power of Kieran B.
Oh yeah.
Kiram's
yeah.
going to function much more often probably as an attacker than any defensive set.
But it's just got that natural bulk that it's like...
It's really...
Yeah, it's going to take hits
Yeah.
regardless of investment.
It's more of the typing, and he can always throw a whiff to it as well. So,
Well, I think the base 170 attack stat alone is worth the pick.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also throw a base 120 special attack on top of that. It becomes one of the premier wall breakers in the game.
I'll admit I didn't like the Kiram Black pick in the first round right away, but once I saw that he was going for the Steel Fairy Dragon Core, then it made a lot more sense and I liked it. So I think he has a really solid team. And also we should move on to Mega Mogwai now.
Yep. So
I would say the most intriguing team in the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
controversially.
I was having this conversation with him last night, and I was trying to explain it in a way that didn't make him defensive. But like, if you look at his team, it doesn't look like the scary OU team that everyone else's does. Well, not everyone else's, but a lot of other people's. It's still got a mostly OU team. Like, don't get me wrong on that, but I think for people who are new to competitive or aren't as informed about it, it's a lot of stuff that you don't see and don't think is threatening. Like, a lot of people that are new to this generation don't think Zapdos is a threat. It is. It's a versatile and it's a threat. But you don't think it is. No one that plays OU sees Machamp anymore. Doesn't mean it isn't good and it isn't scary as hell. Like, Amoonguss, obviously, it's super low tier, but it does so well at doing what it does, and it functions well in OU. You know, like
even Hippowdon.
Yeah, Hippowdon, it's a fantastic wall, and it can go on either side. But again, it's not like if you get a new player and you let them watch a bunch of top OU matches and you tell them to make a team, they're not going to pick most of this stuff. It doesn't mean it isn't good. Quite to the contrary.
Yeah.
A lot of it's better than that stuff in this format.
I think it was interesting that he decided to go with Alomomola to get the Regenerator core over something like Vaporeon, too.
Or Suicune.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were so many bulky water options at that point, but he was really set on the, Regenerator core.
The way he talks about it, I think he was thinking the entire draft about it.
Oh, he absolutely had to be planning for that. Also, you got to think in Wish Pass. Wish Pass is really good. Maybe not as good as, like my Lodic having a recover instantly or things like that, but Vaporeon, but again, it's another high HP number, and it's still passing it off.
Yeah, I mean, we've all had this discussion within each other. I don't know the whole Alomomola. My thought is, it's a great pick. I think he'll do well with it, but it's just it can't do anything. It's a Regenerator core. It can be a Regenerator core, but it can't really fire anything back. I guess it can just spam knock off Waterfall, but. I don't know.
Slow King would have been another option for that Regenerator core as well.
I like the pick. I don't
Alomomola has a nickname amongst the entire universe called the Universal Setup Fodder. And
it's not,
I think
it is.
With Wish, it becomes anti-setup fodder. You're not thinking about this from a team standpoint. He sets up a Wish. He sees something that wants to set up. He has a plethora of things that can handle setup sweepers on his team. He passes a gigantic Wish to something he wants to deal with that setup mon, and they're back up to full health. That's why it's not setup fodder.
And on the same token, he does have Gothitelle, which can trap anything trying to set up.
That's exactly. He has Gothitelle. He has Bisharp with one of the most powerful sucker punches in the game.
Yeah, but
he has Mega Mawile with another one.
What is he bringing wishes to?
Mega Mawile, Gothitelle, Zapdos, Machamp, anything he wants, he could send a wish to. Aside from maybe Greninja, because Greninja's not going to take a hit.
He could even run a Sash Greninja, and
he could do
almost
that.
All of the health back,
probably all of it.
Probably.
It's Alomomola is fucking fat as hell.
Yeah,
it's like base 165 HP.
I'm closer to Gubbs' side. Like it wouldn't be the pick I would have made, but I don't hate it. I think he came in with a plan and an idea for it, and he's going to make it work.
Looking at his team, it seems like it's built around it almost.
Yeah, I think if he's going with a Regenerator core, that means he's a little bit intent on switching often, and that could be a big problem for him. But we're going to have to find,
Look
it's
at his
really
first
only
three
like
picks.
wait and
Yeah,
see
I
what
mean,
happens.
Greninja, Landorus, Zapdos,
That's
obviously.
Volturn right there. His team is
Zapdos
built on
hovers.
initiative and getting the right matchup
And
during the battle.
The nice thing is Hippowdon has the ability to break sashes as well with Sand.
Yeah, it's also a problem where
Yeah, he's gonna have
that
to work
initiative
that into
may
his
not.
Yeah.
Initiative's a lot harder to use in the GBA because if you want a good matchup, it's really difficult because you don't know the coverage, the specialized coverage that
Yeah,
everyone's
they're
bringing
not
for
gonna be
everything
running
on your team.
standardized coverage. That is a fair point.
Well, the
but-
beauty of Protean Greninja is that it's not really susceptible to standardized
That's
coverage.
one thing we haven't. I don't know why we went straight to Alamola.
because you're
I don't
haters.
agree with that.
Because
But-
to the uninformed, it would be a glaring
Well, we
thing.
can get to the 10th round pick that matters the least at the end. I mean, it's his 10th round pick. If you want an Alamola, great. You'll probably use it. But if we're going to go, if in a perfect world, his first 6 is his starters. That's not how it works, but those would be his starters. Alamola is sitting on the bench getting no play time. Greninja, I think that was a steal. 5th round, that's a great pick. Probably would have been my first round pick. I think that's one of the best things you can get in the GBA. Landorus as his second, that should be... I could base a team around that, a first-round pick.
I mean,
Every time I went
especially
against
when you
Joe,
consider-
it's
especially
scary.
when you consider Landorus Therian got sniped at the end of the first
Yeah.
round, but there were still 3 other picks, and he managed to get Landorus.
Mhm.
Like, for most people, that would have set off flags, and you would have seen Panic Genie Scramble. But
Well, you kind of did.
Yeah.
You saw Landorus T, then Demetrius took Thunderous, and then Roger, and then
well,
Miguel.
no, Rod.
took
Yeah,
Landorus.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, Roger didn't.
And then Roger had the opportunity, but he chose.
Well, we'll talk
We'll
about
get
that.
to
He's
that.
next
Yeah,
up.
we'll
talk
get to
about
Roger
that
in
in
a
a second.
I
I
really
will
like...
say,
no.
I will say, and this is the thing I talked to him about. I think Miguel panicked. I know he panicked on several of his picks, and was just like, I don't want to get sniped. And it's things like Machamp in the 4th round. Machamp's gonna be good for him. Didn't necessarily
really
get
like
it in the
Machamp
4th
as a
round.
Pokemon.
Well, I mean, what could you take aside from Machamp? Like, name a better fighting type at that point.
Well, again,
Hariyama was gone, Conkeldurr was gone, Terrakion was gone.
yeah, but that
Keldeo
means,
was
that means
gone,
there were X amount
Baloo.
of teams that didn't need a fighting type, so it was more likely to fall.
Yeah.
But I
If
mean, he
you-
made
if-
up for it by getting Gengar the round after. I mean,
But
if Gengar
it-
got
but-
picked up before he got around to it again, that'd be one thing. But he did still secure Gengar, so Machamp's placement isn't as bad
Well,
considering
no,
what he was
but
able to
these are
grab
things
after.
That did cost him because it's like he got to
Yeah.
a point where he wanted Arcanine, and Arcanine got sniped the exact round he was going to pick it, whereas Machamp would have still been there.
No
Yeah,
one
probably
of-
would have still been there.
No one of.
I mean,
It
to be
hasn't. It didn't get
fair-
drafted in 2 seasons of the GBA, and then you just said in the
That's
regular
fine, that's
GBA
I mean,
fighting
it
types
got
are
picked
better.
want.
up. It did
That's
get
'cause
picked
people didn't
up
want it.
from me in free agency, season 1.
Gubbs, there was not another single fighting type drafted until the 9th round, and it was Lucario. You're gonna
I bet
tell
if
me
Machamp had been there, he would have taken, or someone would have taken it.
Who?
Who?
What
I don't
team?
know,
needs it?
but somebody
Nobody
could have
needs it.
seen it and liked it.
Yeah.
Inferno
I mean,
was picked
okay.
up too. Don't
My
forget
thought
that.
Yeah,
is,
Inferno.
I don't agree in the placement. I think it's a great pick. This is all theory mining, but no one agrees it's a 4th round. It's
I
not a
do.
4th
I
round
think
thing.
it's a 4th rounder. I can't.
Well,
I
I
can't
think
say
everything
that.
is like a
he
top
100%
pick, though.
panicked.
We-
He saw Hariyama and Conkeldurr in the round, and he said, "Oh shit! All of the fighting types are going. It's a fighting type gold rush. I need to get it," and he didn't.
Yeah.
And let's be real, we can't dismiss no guard dynamic
Yeah,
punch.
it's a fucking amazing attack to spam.
Not,
Or-
not
or-
saying it's not
But
good.
I
just
or
saying
if
Stone
you just
Edge.
look at the
100
things that went
100%
right after
accuracy,
Machamp,
Stone
you
Edge.
can justify why he shouldn't have picked Machamp.
Yeah, like
I just don't think it's a. I don't think you can call it a bad pick. I think
It's not a bad- no one said it
pick,
was a
a
bad
bad
worthy.
time.
It's worthy of the pick.
No,
It's-
I
no,
don't
it was
think
not
so.
worthy of that round. Not at all. That was a
I
panic
think you
pick.
guys are sleeping on Machamp.
It was
I
a-
really
No
do.
no
I'm
one's
not-
sleeping
I
on
think-
Machamp. Okay, are you saying Machamp's a 4th round pick, but Alakazam, Mamoswine, those are 5th round picks,
I'm
or
not
Togekiss
saying-
6th round? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm not
it's a
saying
great
that
pick.
in a shallower pool. It's not a great pick, and that it's not versatile. But there's just so much good stuff that went afterwards. Like he also wanted before he wanted Arcanine, he wanted Victini. Could have got that, couldn't get it. Like
Okay.
Victini should have gone before Machamp,
Victini doesn't function the same as Machamp, though.
but he could have got
But he
Machamp.
could've
we
got
can talk
Machamp
about this all
anyway.
day. We can talk about. He could have, but he might not have. He
All
might
right,
not.
let's
There's
just
still
mention
other
the
fighting
fact
types.
that he drafted.
You guys
Mega
said
Uber
if you like
Wild,
something, pick it.
and
And that's my philosophy. If you really like something, pick it. Because if you're good at using it, you should do it. It's just like, let's go down the list and just see, like, Raiko should not have gone 4th round.
No, it shouldn't have.
Right,
John
yeah, but we said that
likes
when we went over
Raiko.
John, we said we didn't think like any of the things he picked should have gone in the round he picked them
Yeah.
in. We did
But
that.
if he likes those things, you can justify it. If that's what he's comfortable with using, you can
So
justify
theoretically,
To a
you could
degree.
justify Steve's Malamar pick, whoever.
Yes,
picked
absolutely.
Giggle,
Absolutely.
Man.
and
Gubbs just
Okay,
lost
Mega
everybody.
Mawile.
Yeah.
That was a great mega pick. He really got a steal there.
Again.
Oh my
Again.
A
this-
steal
you gotta
second?
steal in
That's
more
not a
than
steal.
one.
Again,
This
this
is
is
not
this is
steal.
another thing where he knew he was second in the mega draft, and he drafted a thing he knew he was going to be able to get because it was very obvious from Adam's early picks that he was going to go with Mega Venusaur. So he
I mean,
knew
it
he
was said
gonna
out
be-
loud that he was going to get
Yeah,
it.
he
Yeah.
knew he was going to be able, so Miguel knew he was going to be able to get Mega Mawile, and I'm like, again, he said in the chat, he was like, I need a fairy, I know I'm going to need a fairy, so I'm going to get Mega Mawile. Okay, what are you going to do next season?
Get a
Right.
fairy type. It's like it's pretty simple.
Again,
Okay.
but
It's
you're
very
doing
simple.
you're doing it from a much smaller pool, and I don't like these people saving things that they believe are crucial aspects of their core for 1 year's in megas.
Yeah.
I don't think you need a fairy type. Though. I don't think he needed
Not
a fairy.
about not about what you think. He himself said.
I understand
Yeah.
He
that,
himself said, "I need a fairy." If you,
but it's like what was available at that point. Like, did he want to go out on a limb and take a fairy early, or did he want to wait and he knew he would get Mega Mawile and just take it? It's all about winning this year. You can think about years down the line, but at the same time, you
but
have to try and
team
win
building
this season.
for the future.
But
Yeah.
if you
Why there's
if you're all in
contracts.
for year one, all in for the year one championship, why not try to build the most solid
But look,
team you can?
I don't think his team is all in for the year one. It doesn't look like a team like I'm going to get everything that's going to help me win right now. It's like he's building this team of things he likes and he likes to use and he's going to be good at using.
I
Like, I'm not
don't
saying he
think
can't win.
anybody put any thought into the future. I think they all went with what's the best team now. I think everything
I
agree.
did that.
I think that's every team.
I don't think that's how it should.
And maybe that's the way to go. Maybe you work on it in the off season. Maybe you're just like, okay, what do I need to get to be better for next year? And maybe that's not the best way to do it.
One thing to look at too is because this is their first season in the GBA, they don't know how these teams will function together synergy-wise because this is not standard play. This is not OU. So when looking at the regular GBA Season 2, a lot of our draft picks for us returning teams were there, and those were picks that helped change what our issues were Season 1. So until they actually go through a full season with these teams, they're not going to really see what's going on. Because on paper, you can say this is an issue, but in actual battles, it could not be an issue, and you could find another glaring hole somewhere else in your team.
Yeah, that's where I think, some of the players that actually followed the GBA closely had a little bit of an edge because there were just a couple players that were more intent on keeping up with the GBA. Like other people did watch occasionally, but there are some that were actually relatively big fans of the league, so they kind of understood how it worked.
And these are all, fairly experienced guys for the most part.
All right, guys, we gotta move on to the next.
All right, Roger.
Guess I got
Baby
Oh.
Raj. Baby
Baby-
Raj.
Woo!
This
Time
one's
for
gonna
Guts to
be even
defend
more of a
Hariyama.
shitstorm.
Can we go with the best value pick in the entire draft, Johnny Pokeball?
That's not.
Coming in
No.
6th overall, dropping 5 spots all the way down into the depths of the draft.
I really like his draft. Picking up Milotic in the 9th is a steal.
The 10th.
Or
Right.
10th, yeah.
That's wrong.
Picking up
That's just-
Weavile, picking up Celebi, Weavile, and Milotic back to back.
I mean,
Yeah,
plus,
I mean-
I really like
he-
Gyarados from Melodic. We're all really, really,
Yeah,
really
everything
picks.
5th round down. Even, I think the Mega's a little, controversial, but I would say I like the pick. I would say everything 5th pick down is fantastic.
Yes.
What's
What's
when he
above
was
the fifth
drafting,
pick? What's the fourth pick?
Hariyama.
the 4th pick was Scizor.
The 4th pick
No,
was Hariyama.
Third pick was Scizor. Fourth pick
I like
Scizor.
Scizor.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And I think
but-
obviously Nick's proven that Hariyama's good. Again,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just a
I mean,
value
it was
thing.
good for me.
We're
I don't know
going
if it'll
back
be
to
good
the
for
argument
the
of
team.
Machamp, but now it's Hariyama in the 4th round.
Right. It was great for me. I don't know if it's going to be great on every team. I know that it's versatile and it's
It
very
was
good.
like Jolteon
but
with Danza.
I think maybe not quite that level because that was more like, a 1-year fluke thing maybe. But I don't know. He didn't get it again, so we couldn't
And
tell.
Rogers said he wanted Conkeldurr, but obviously it went 2 picks before he was
Right.
playing
Yeah.
to get it. I don't know if the next step down from Conkeldurr is Hariyama. Maybe.
I
No,
think
I'm
it's
pretty sure the
Machamp,
next step
honestly.
down from Conkeldurr is Machamp. Hariyama's
Yeah.
like the guy that wants to be Conkeldurr for Halloween, but he can't afford the fist that sucks the life out of everything he touches. So
He got
that's
really
like,
bad paper mache like pillar blocks.
yeah, he has like Hulk hands. Like that's what he has. Like he just buys Hulk hands.
So I mean,
I think, yeah.
I
alright,
think
looking at his
as
draft,
questionable as Hariyama is, I have more of a problem with Garchomp. I know not everybody agrees with me, but I do.
Yeah, it's
I
big.
look not
I
that
do
it's
too.
not that it's a bad pick because Garchomp's a good chomp. It's a good poke, but
It's the only chomp.
It's a good chomp. Yeah,
It's one of two chomps.
It's arguably the best chomp in the Pokemon world. My problem is it went 2nd round before Latios and Latias. Like
But
Yeah.
they don't play the same.
they don't.
I
That's
think
true.
no. I think if he, I don't know, like I don't know if he had any idea of what he wanted to do. But if he just said, "I want a strong dragon," Garchomp wasn't the
It
idea.
wasn't a
If he-
dragon.
If he,
It
wanted
was-
Garchomp,
It's not
it
functioning
was-
as a
wanted
strong
Garchomp
dragon.
specifically. If he wanted Garchomp specifically for his, just
I talked-
for what
I talked
Garchomp
to-
can
I
do.
talked to Roger about this. It was again. He wanted Landorus Therian, and again, Frank took it before him. So again, he thought, I need a Landorus Therian substitute. Garchomp.
The
Except
thing-
the
not
fact that
Landorus
Landorus
Incarnate.
I was there.
But
I
Landorus
think-
I doesn't
alright,
play
so-
the same. Garchomp plays more similar to Landorus T than Landorus I does.
The thing you got to remember, so Garchomp, you have a lot of
There's
options with it. You can go
high-
physical, you can go defensive. I mean, you can go like your Rocks Sash lead, you can go Rocks Rocky Helmet. Like you have options with Garchomp that you might not get with Lando I. And Lando I and
yeah.
Lando T, like Gub said,
What I
function
see with
completely
Garchomp is
different.
it's a
Landorus
strong
I is like a
earthquake.
flying Nidoking on crack. So like
Yeah, it is.
that.
But
arguably
he
the
already
best
has
description
has Deoxys S. I think it's a bit too redundant to take Deoxys S and then
Yeah,
Landorus
I think
back to back.
I think
And- And realistically, what does he have to set up Rocks outside of Garchomp and
Deoxys speed,
I was say Deoxys
Celebi.
Speed, which
Celebi.
Deoxys Speed, Celebi.
That's it.
yeah.
Arrow.
So
Well, yeah,
How
Arrow.
many do you need?
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd waste it on
6?
Megaro though.
He
So,
has 4
I mean-
Pokemon that can set up rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I'm
pretty
not-
solid.
Again,
I
it's
like
just-
I like Garchomp.
I think it's fine to like Garchomp,
Yeah.
but it's like, why? And again, contracts and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, it's
fuck
just a
it,
second
lock-
round pick.
I think it could have
lock anything
lock
below
Melodic up. Lock
Yeah.
Melodic's one of the premier walls in the entire game, and he
Anything
could
below
have just.
Hariyama could have been.
Melodic is not a premier wall. Melodic's not even OU.
Oh, I disagree.
It's a premier wall in
I said
you.
OU, Gubs.
in
This
the
is the
GBA.
You're saying in the entire game. It was good for you in the GBA. That comes back
It
to
was
what
good
works
for
you.
everybody that's used it in the GBA.
It wasn't a good
Even though there's
season.
only 2 people.
Yeah, it's been 2 seasons. It's not exactly.
And
a
Melodic
great
has been
sample
good
size.
since what? 2003? It's been like really good. And you can't
Okay.
argue that Melodic's not really good.
Garchomp's
But I'm
been
just
good
saying,
since 2007. I mean, it's like where's
I'm just saying Melodic one hit KO's Garchomp, so eat it. No, anyway.
that doesn't mean shit. We're not talking
I'm
about
kidding, I
101.
was kidding. I was kidding.
I
I'm
don't
just
see
saying
how
he
you
could've
can
locked
say
up-
Garchomp's a
could've-
bad pick.
He could have gotten it later.
Yeah.
Gubs
I
is
don't
not
know.
a
What if he
fan of
wants
the
it for
would
I-
have
I'm
gotten
just-
it later.
I don't really have a problem with it. Like, it doesn't, like, strike me as, wow, I wish you wouldn't have done that. It's more like, he probably didn't need to do that. But looking at the order of which he drafted things, he's either getting Garchomp for 3 years, Hariyama for 3 years, or Gyarados for 3 years, something along those lines. Garchomp might be the best of those 3 that you want
Yeah.
for those 3 years.
Fucking big
And
team.
once he picked Hariyama, everybody was like, Roger, what are you doing? Your draft is going to go to shit. But then he bounced back. He picked.
He
He
bounced
really
hard.
bounced back, and that's why I brought that up first, because I mean, we can go all day about Hariyama and Garchomp, where he picked them, if he could have gotten them later, but I mean, I don't know. I think he had the best like.
No, it's
draft.
really
Pulled off
like
a really good
as
defensive
much
board, too.
as much shit as I give him for that pick. Roger has one of my favorite drafts, actually. Like just based off that last,
I don't know if
huge
he's my favorite team, but I really do enjoy his draft.
not necessarily my favorite,
Yeah.
but he's probably top 3. I really like.
He's top
what
8.
he got.
He's definitely top 8 for me.
Yeah, definitely top.
Good joke.
Shut
And
up.
at
All right.
least for 1 year, he's going to have a really good defensive core.
I just want to say one thing. You guys keep going on about contracts and all that. Well, if you want something for 3 years, take it in those first 3 picks. Like
That's the thing. I don't think they considered that. I don't think that was.
Yeah,
I
we've
think
already
he
talked
did
about-
consider that. That's why he took it.
I think if anybody considered it, Sam considered it because Sam got
Yes.
his core all
I
for
agree.
3 years. I don't think anybody else even considered. Hey,
What if the
what
core
hell's the
doesn't
contract?
work though?
How would
like
that
a-
core not work? What?
That core very well might not. We don't know. This is all theory until the games are played.
There's Theory, and then there's Sylveon, Skarmory, and Kieran B working together well.
Like
All right,
I mean,
man.
like,
It's
we're
it's
gonna
all
solve
theory.
this right now.
too until it explodes. Like it's pretty
Of the-
much it's gonna work.
Of the 8 coaches, if you thought about contract length, leave a comment in this video. That
Roger,
solves
if you
this
really
question
wanted
right there.
Garchomp for 3 years,
Yeah.
please
I mean,
tell us Cubs
Garchomp is
All
a
right.
top tier OU Pokemon.
I drafted
So-
Garchomp second overall for my draft season 1, and I'm glad I did because I guarantee
I think
would not have
Garchomp's
ever
amazing.
picked-
It's really good. It's good at different things
it
too. But I
fits
just
his
think it
team.
would have been around.
Yeah, but if he wanted it for 3 years,
we're not
All
going
right,
to
all
get
right.
anywhere.
That's
Anyway.
That's
Cubs is
why.
very
That's
set
why
in
we're.
stone.
That's why we're not the ones playing. We're just talking about.
I don't
it.
think you guys are giving them enough credit. I think people really did think about this. I really do. I think a lot of this is
I-
pre-
All right,
It
on
just-
to
it
Madman
doesn't
Demo's
appear that
team.
way.
Madman
Big D.
Demo, the Cleveland Bros.
slow bros.
Slow Bros.
He wants to be
Slow
called,
bro-
he likes bros. He thinks it sounds better.
All right, Bros is good
Bros.
too.
We're calling it the slow bros. You can't be the bros.
The Cleveland
All right,
Bros
Cubs.
picked
Cubs
Mew
has to
number
fight with
1.
People even in the names.
Yes.
Probably the most head-scratching yet interesting Fizzy Stardust-esque pick in the first
Now-
round.
The first thing I'm gonna, I that thing can do everything. I don't know if it's a first round pick, but he can always make it do something that's gonna be useful. So, I think that's the biggest. If you want it, grab it, and he definitely wanted it because he had his choice of a lot of things. Nothing that was close to Mew got drafted before it. So, I think he had his heart set on Mew, and he really wanted it, and he got it. So,
And that
You know.
was a pick that everybody else in the call at the time of the draft was like, oh, I really like that. And like they would have picked that. So that's
But,
something
yeah,
that probably
it
wouldn't
was-
have lasted long.
It was an unintentional
And-
snipe just out of desire. Like, he wanted it, so he
Right.
got it, and everybody else was like, damn, I was going to wait until the 3rd or 4th to go for it. So, it was a good move to get it early.
I actually heard a
if you
few
wanted
people
it.
say they wanted to grab it second round. So,
Yeah.
I don't think he would have gotten it if he had waited.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the example of what Gubbs was talking about. You know, if you
Yeah.
want something and you like it, take it. And he did.
And now, he has it for 3 years.
Yeah.
But I like that one. I don't know about Mew and then Slowbro third. I don't know, like the double psychic, the double bulkier psychic. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of that. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a big deal. I mean, he got Florges after, so I guess like
my issue with the
dark
double
weakness
psychic
or-
is he has nothing to eat up knockoff in terms of
Yeah.
like resisted plus justified. You know,
Yeah.
'Cause by having
Well, there's only like what 4 things that do that.
Yeah, oh no, he's
I-
just saying he doesn't really have anything that really wants to get knocked
Yeah.
off.
I mean,
Mega
Mega
Scizor is
Scizor
probably
deals
his
with it
best
just
bet.
fine.
But that's only
mean,
a 1 year thing
yeah.
again. But then we're getting back into the same argument because
Yeah.
like Entei's gonna
Yeah.
want its
Not
choice
only is it a
band,
1 year
Porygon's
thing,
gonna want its Eviolite.
Yeah.
Mienshow's
I mean,
gonna want
nothing
Life
wants
Orb
to
or
get
Sash.
knocked off. per
But there's
se.
I wouldn't like Tracheon probably wouldn't mind dropping its item because it's usually a choice item. in
Well,
which
you're
case
not
it's
going to
just gonna be
spam
the plus 1 to
knockoff when that guy has to
I don't think it's a bad
that's
pick.
okay.
I don't
That's why
understand it.
picks like Tracheon inhibit the use of
Yeah.
just
I can't-
they prevent spam.
I can
And-
count on one hand, though, the times I saw knockoff. I think in total in GBA. I think it's probably like 4 times total. I have
Yeah,
not
it's-
seen knockoff.
It's just a threat thing.
I think honestly, people overvalue knockoff in the GBA as well. I hardly ever see it. I don't
And
see
I
it that
think
often.
who used it outside of Danza with his Mega Venusaur?
Yeah.
I used it a lot.
I used it on Conk because
I suppose like Conkeldurr and Hariyama, and then I get the Mega Venusaur.
But I just
But
think you're
that's
better.
because, like, I don't know. I think if somebody wants to bring Knockoff against him, he's going to have to bring in Mega Scizor. Knockoff's only one move that a lot of Pokemon get, and a lot of those Pokemon get coverage for Mega Scizor. So Mega Scizor is going to be taking, a bunch of attacks that it doesn't need to, and that's just to keep things from, like, Porygon 2 from becoming kind of useless. Not useless because it's still really good even without Eviolite, but Eviolite is what makes it. And, like, Florges probably wants to keep its leftovers. I don't know. It's just something that he could probably
it's
have
something to think
considered.
about. I mean, I remember when I was preparing for, like, going against Porygon 2, I always made sure I had something to knock it off. Maybe two things, because it just, when you can, take something away from a Pokemon that makes it so good, you always want to do that. With Porygon 2, if you can make that thing, like, cut its bulk in half, why the fuck not?
I really like Nidoking when he got it there. Nidoking's so good, and
That was a very good pickup.
yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like Entei. He had said, after George got Arcanine that he wanted it and it got sniped out. And Miguel had also wanted Arcanine and got sniped out. Miguel obviously changed his strategy, went for something else. Demo got Entei, which is a pretty
really
good
like
replacement. You know,
I mean, nothing really wants to take Sacred Fire from Entei, especially if it's banded. Even if it's resisted, you're still taking a lot. Plus, you have, 30% burn or 50% burn?
That's a value pick, in my opinion. I really, really like the Entei.
You get extreme speed.
Yeah, you can never undervalue priority.
And plus 2 priority nonetheless.
Just saying, Alamomola handles Entei pretty well.
Yeah.
Are we serious right now?
Oh, but we're not talking
guys
about one-on-ones, Stubbs. We're not talking about one-on-ones.
But I think Demo is another guy that's got kind of a weird draft, and I have my concerns that maybe he's a little bit behind the curve in the format as far as understanding goes. But I think he drafted a good team, and I think he's a good player.
Yeah. Really like his last 2 picks.
And I think he's got some sneaky power there too.
He's got a good Voltron team.
You look at his team, and it's just like kind of like this group of guys just hanging out playing poker, and then they're like they get mad, and then they start wrecking things. Staraptor and Mienshao can really put in some work. Mega Scizor's, it's going to be great.
That was a really good pick. I really like that Mega pick.
And he grabbed that
He struggled
too.
to make a pick. He struggled to make his Mega pick, and he settled on Mega Scizor, but I think that was the best thing he could have picked.
It was the right pick. It was just a struggle of, unfamiliarity.
And he was the 7th pick, too.
So,
I mean, if you're settling with Mega Scizor, that's a pretty good, problem to have.
Yeah.
I don't know what the holdup was.
It was just unfamiliarity. It's a Pokemon he said he hasn't used before, and like we were talking about earlier, obviously you gravitate towards things you're used and familiar with. So he was a little bit hesitant on that, but
from his standpoint, he picked 4 things in Entei, P2, Mienshao, and Staraptor that are going to be 1-year deals. And I think his team is probably one of the ones that is affected least by losing things to free agency. So he has arguably the most room for growth in the next draft, depending on, what he learns and what he figures out this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I agree. Yeah. I think he's got good long-term bulk. Like, he's a guy who, like Sam, he drafted a lot of his bulk early, whereas we saw, yeah. I mean,
I would say the opposite.
I mean,
I would say a good majority of his bulk is late, and he won't have it next year.
What are you talking about? Mew, Slowbro?
Mew, Slowbro, Florges.
Sableye.
Right.
Sableye's not bulky.
Well, yeah, but 3 out of his first 4 picks are all bulky. How did he not get his bulk?
Mew is somewhat bulky.
Porygon 2 and Entei are his only late
and
bulk picks. And Entei is
Porygon 2,
probably
Entei, Mega Scizor.
Well,
okay, Mega Rounds don't count, Scrub.
Yeah. Mega Round does count. Mega Round would essentially be the same as a 1-year Pokemon, as a 7th through 10th.
But it's the Mega Round.
So he went 3-3.
I still say he has workable bulk in the first half of his thing for later years.
Yeah, and he has 4 picks next year that are all going to be 3-year deals in which he can grow, exponentially.
Yeah.
In terms of his team's talent level.
Yeah,
I would say the bulk is short term.
Well, whatever.
All right, I would say you're wrong. But let's move on to Frank.
Everything.
Let's go on to Frank.
That's just what I see. That's just what I see.
Yeah,
we'll move on to Frank.
All right. Frank is a lot of power. You know,
Yeah.
he's not.
His draft confused me, but didn't confuse me. It's
I
like
wouldn't
it's
say
kind
so.
of weird.
I think it's similar to George's draft, where it's just again, it's just consistent, really.
He
good
knew what
picks.
he wanted.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
only
he got a lot
one
of good
kind
picks.
of thing, like,
Reggie
there's only
Steele-
one, not even an issue, just something I noticed that was interesting depending on, like, it could have gone either way and mattered a big deal depending on the player. On his wheel pick, when he chose Clefable and Conkeldurr, the order of that is, essentially 1 year for whichever one of those you wanted. And he decided to go 3 years of Clefable and 2 years of Conkeldurr instead of the other way around.
I'm okay with
where
that. I think Clefable.
I am too. I think Clefable's a beast, but I think maybe
Clefable's a
he
great pick.
could have went with Conkeldurr because Conkeldurr
No,
is kind of
two fighting types for
I don't
3
know.
years.
Like,
I think Clefable's
Well,
much.
see,
that's
that's
true,
my
that's true.
thing is I think Keldeo could have stood to drop down, but
Yes.
then again, it may have gone.
it could have.
There's a very
but
good chance.
Keldeo is something that you want. You want to have monopoly on Keldeo. You don't want anybody else having it because Keldeo is such a threat
Yeah.
that you need to scoop it up as soon as possible.
Especially because with specs and with Secret Sword, or is it Sacred? Whatever, it can hit on both sides with specs. It's not...
If you look at his team,
It's
his
a
team
big
doesn't
threat
want
to
to
deal with.
Keldeo. Like he doesn't want any part of an opposing Keldeo. So him
Wouldn't-
having Keldeo is the perfect.
He's got Dragonite.
I mean,
Dragonite
I
can
see
somewhat
when-
deal with
Keldeo.
He's got Toxic
It's
Probe.
Keldeo still has ice options. It's not.
Rotom
like he
W
just
can
switches
somewhat deal with
quickly.
Keldeo.
Why are we... What, Gubs? Come on. Who cares?
I'm just saying, it's not his team is not like fucking scared of. He picked Keldeo because Keldeo's fucking amazing. He didn't pick it because he was scared of it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously he couldn't because he didn't have the rest of his team yet. But I'm saying,
Yeah.
had he not picked Keldeo, he wouldn't necessarily say, "Oh, I can handle this."
It definitely
Because the
benefits-
fact
His
is,
team
definitely-
isn't that scared of
It
Keldeo.
benefits the structure of his team to not have
It
to
does.
worry about Keldeo.
Thank
That's
you,
the way to
Chris,
put
the
it.
GB analyst.
Well, yeah, but that's like it benefits the structure of his team to not worry about Landorus Therian.
No,
Like, of course.
No, because look at it this way. Look at, say, Miguel's team. If Miguel had picked Weavile, that would have been an amazing pick because his team is really Weavile weak.
Nah, somewhat.
Like half of his things. Granted, another 4 of them destroy it, but still, you don't want that many things to be vulnerable to that one thing.
But that should not be your justification for taking something.
No, it shouldn't be, and it
You should
wasn't.
take something
He
because
didn't-
it
I
adds
just-
to
I
your
it's
team.
just
finished
something
saying
that
this,
we
Gus.
noticed.
I just finished saying it.
I'm
It's-
ju- but
he
I
did
just-
not pick Keldeo because he wanted to draft a Keldeo weak team. It is a benefit that Keldeo is on his team because his team does not particularly want to fight
But you could-
Keldeo.
Yes, I
Shut up.
understand
I'm about
that.
to kick you out of the call.
Go ahead. He picked Keldeo because he liked Keldeo.
That's exactly what I said.
Skip Gub's
That
list
is
over
exactly
here.
what I
Then
said.
why did we even say he didn't want to handle Keldeo? No, he picked Keldeo.
No,
because
we
he's
didn't say he didn't
awesome.
want
Because in a-
to.
because
We
in a
just
perfect
said
world,
that
Yeah, like why?
yes.
I'm not trying
I'm
to be an
just
asshole
saying.
here, but I'm just trying to clarify. I don't want this to sound
All
retarded.
that was said is that it's fortunate that he has Keldeo because Keldeo is a threat to a lot of teams. That's it.
Okay. It's not a
All
threat
right,
to his
so
team in
stop.
particular.
No, it is. It is.
It's
You're
not.
really
Because
mad.
he has Clefable.
Okay. Anyway,
Like,
let's
Hey, let's talk about a really good grab. Let's talk about Mega
Well,
Manetric.
Fable can't do shit.
Mega Manetric in the 6th pick of the Mega
it's-
Draft.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, Houndoom, mind you, going before it.
I think that was a great pick just because it's a really quick offensive powerhouse that he can use.
With
I think
great
he needed
coverage.
something like that. He
Great
needed
coverage.
something.
And
like
he's another team with some really good Volturn options too.
He
Granted,
has
two of
OU
the- two of
Volturn core.
If he
Mega Manic
plays-
Landers team.
Manetric
has that.
correctly too, he can abuse electric immunity with it too.
Yeah.
Even though he's
Wow.
not
Which
necessarily
works,
worried
which works when you
about
consider
it.
he has 3 waters on his team.
I think
Yeah, but he also has
more-
Crocodile.
I think
So-
I liked his 1-year picks really. I liked it almost. I think actually the most out of anything. I think he got a lot of good things in 1 year.
I think
And
it's up there
Napoleon's
with
a great
Roger.
defogger.
I really like Rogers 1 year.
Yeah.
I think Frank's are fantastic too.
But he has Crocodile, Dragonite, and Toxicroak, which are all really big threats. People like to sleep on Crocodile and Toxicroak Toxicroak, but they're just so good. Toxicroak handles fairies. Like you can obviously it's strong poison type, but it's got priority. It's really good. Crocodile, I think you guys know how much I like Crocodile, but he's just really just sickeningly powerful, especially late game. And then Dragonite's the Dragonite. So I think he made the most use of his one-year deals, probably aside from Roger. Those two are up there. And I think he did really, really well for that area of his draft.
I agree.
I don't really like Toxicroak, but it does add something. I like the water immunity's cool, but I don't know.
I like the priority it gives his team.
But he has Dragonite with extreme speed. He's got
Toxicroak before Dragonite.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's got Conqueror with Mach Punch. I don't know if Sucker Punch is a huge deal for his team. I think
it's a little unreliable, but
I mean with almost every team, this was the draft of like in the regular GBA there was a bulky water round where everybody was like, all right, we need our bulky waters. And not everybody prioritized fairies. This was kind of the league where everybody wanted a fairy type. Toxicroak is the answer to most of those fairies, and I think it was a great pick.
Yeah,
I mean, Empoleon can handle fairies just fine, though.
But it's
What, Metal Claw?
It can't.
I mean, it's his defogger.
It's his defogger, and it's a defogger that has no recovery, so he has to be careful with it. He can't just throw it in,
Most fairies are especially bulky anyways. They don't really care about Flash Cannon. Like, Dunk Shot's going to just destroy him.
Toxicroak's not exactly going to want to switch in on a Florgus Moonblast.
We didn't say it's a switch.
I mean,
it's the fairy killer.
It's not going to love to, but,
It's a fairy killer, but I don't...
That's where the Volt Turn will come in handy. Because Florges can switch into Manectric if you want.
I don't think fairies were that big of an issue for his team.
No, probably not. But I think it's a good thing to have, even outside of being
It's
a
a
fairy killer.
it's a meta pick,
Toxicroak's
really.
a good pick.
I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm just saying I think he probably could have gotten something better there.
Maybe.
I think that this is like the first time Gubbs is actually like saying a pick. Maybe something else could have gotten there, and I'm proud of you, Gubbs. You've changed the way
What are you
you
talking
think.
about?
He's growing as a person.
Granted, it is a 9th round pick that doesn't matter as much, but he's still making progress.
What are you saying? It doesn't matter. Every pick matters. God damn it, John. I'm trying to convey to people.
John can't hear you from the podium. Sorry.
Yeah. But
Podiums generally have 3 places. I was 3rd place, just saying.
So yeah, I think again, I think everybody has a good team. Like we can all.
So
agree.
do we want to like rank these or give them grades or what do we want to do to end this?
I don't think there's really a way to
I don't
rank
think
it
it'd be
until you see
fair to
him play.
give them. Yeah, there's no real way to grade them. But I think that.
Do we just want to go down and
had
say
a
everyone's
very,
favorite team right now? Just something to end it.
Yeah, I'm
like
cool
that.
with that.
Yeah.
I would say it would be a draw between Sam and Andy for me. I think they both have very solid teams, and I think they'd be the top of their respective divisions.
Yeah.
I think.
I'm with Nick. I'm definitely going to say I think Sam's team is my favorite, or at least I mean that's a team. If I wanted to use one of them, I'd be like I like that team a lot. Really like Andy's a lot too, but definitely I'd have to say Sam's is my favorite.
I'm a big fan of Roger's team and Frank's team. Both of those teams, to me, I think they're going to go far with those teams.
If I was going to draft a team, it would look a lot more like Adam's team than anything else. But I do, like I said, Roger really won me over with a lot of his late game picks and stuff like that, and I really want to see him do super well with what he's got.
Oh, the baby Raj love.
Yeah.
I'll rank teams. I'll go 1 to 8.
Nobody wants
This guy.
It's going to be very quick. I'm going to say Sam number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say probably it's a tough choice. I'm probably going to say Adam number 2. I don't know if I'm really mixed on that team though. I could make that number 2 or number 7 really easily. So
Wow,
Adam number 2.
swing.
Yeah, I'm going to go Miguel number 3. I think that's like the
Okay.
perfect team for his play style. Frank number 4. Roger
Ooh,
number 5.
George's team falling
George
down.
number 6.
I think.
Wow.
John number 7,
would-
and I'm going to go Demetrius number 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I'm gonna put John Origins and
At 8.
Miguel both at number 9 just until they prove otherwise. Like they
You're gonna
need to be
put
worse.
Miguel's team number 9? You're gonna put any
He
team
has
number
to
9? What are you
prove-
talking about?
He has to
Well, no,
prove
that
to me.
I do like what Nick's saying, and your basis of his team was it's good for his play style. I don't think it's the best team. I think it's great for his play style, and this is a lot of if, ands, or buts. He got 6-0'd in the tournament. He's a great OU player. He's a great UU player. But is he a great GBA player? He has to prove
Yeah,
it. Right now,
that is
he
a
got
legitimate
6-0'd.
point. That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
very
so
legitimate
It
point.
may be good for his play style. He may need to change his play style in the GBA. We don't know.
Yeah.
He may not. His play style might work the whole way through.
And I want to clarify,
yeah.
the differences between my rankings are razor thin. Like, anybody could be anywhere.
No, I definitely. I agree with what you said,
I'm
Gubbs.
just doing this to piss
Yeah,
people.
no, I definitely agree with what you said though, Gubbs. Like, I think your rankings are pretty spot on. And it's a lot of. I think a lot of the teams are really similar. I think we have 8 really good players. We have 8 really solid drafts. There's nothing that I look at and I'm like, wow, you're gonna do really bad this season. Good luck. I look at these teams like these are pretty good teams. I think anyone can win almost any game, and it's really gonna come down to who goes out there and does the most preparation every week, who's really on their game and who's ready to win it. You know, I think who can adapt to GBA faster.
You got to play the games. At the end of the day, you got to play the games.
Yep.
So, that's what's going to come down to. Obviously.
Obviously.
All right, I
Great-
think that
great-
brings
great
us to
closing
the
thought, Gubbs.
end
You got
of our...
way to go, Gubbs Madden, right there. You gotta
Gubbs
play the
Madden.
games to win.
I'll tell you, what, man.
play the games to
I'll tell you what, man. You definitely should not sleep on a Johnny Pokeball, man. I'll tell you what.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. Thanks. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. Leave comments about what you think about the draft, what you might have done different, or, you know, if you're just totally on board with somebody. Check out all the
Your
coaches.
thoughts on
They're-
it, Eats.
Yeah, check out all of the coaches. We'll put the links in the descriptions.
Nah.
Yeah, we will. Gubbs won't.
Okay.
'Cause he's fucking lazy, but someone will. And we're going to have a lot more content leading up to, and probably before this video comes out, we hope you've enjoyed, but leading up to the matches and throughout the season on this channel, the official GBA channel. So thanks for watching, guys.
Brought to you by Old Spice.